Hey, what's cracking everyone? My name is Ryan and today I will be clearing the air with my thoughts on the Meze 105 AER. And that is AER. The 105 is an open back dynamic driver headphone from Meze Audio, and it retails in for $399. I'd like to take this time right now to send a special thank you out to Meze Audio for providing me with the 105 in exchange for my thoughts and opinions. When you receive the 105, you get the headphone inside of a very nice EVA carrying case that zips open and shut. Wish my kids could do that on command, especially when dad's shooting a video. A cable pouch that will hold the included 1.8 meter Kevlar OFC cable that will terminate to a 3.5 connection and is dual 3.5 connections to the cups. You will also get a 6.3 gold-plated adapter to use with different amps that utilize this connection. You could even bundle this headphone with the recently released boom mic from Meze Audio for an additional $79 to turn this into a gaming and communications headset. I've already covered the boom mic in a separate video in case you'd like to know a little bit more about it, and I will link that in the description down below. The build of the 105 is typical of Meze in that they don't sacrifice a thing when it comes to the quality of materials used. This headphone is made of premium materials for this price point. The cups are made of an ABS PC, which is a very standard but sturdy type of plastic. There is cast alloy zinc hardware with PVD coating throughout and a manganese spring steel headband that is self-adjusting to your head. The headband is artificial leather and the ear pads are a very plush and soft velour material. It's also fairly deep, though not extremely wide around the ears. Subjectively, this is an aesthetic that really spoke to me when I first saw it, and I dig the all black design of the 105. All black may not be for everyone, so you could always grab a colored headphone cable to add some contrast to the look. From a fit and comfort perspective, this has been one of the most comfortable headphones I have worn, or at least ranks up there with the best of them. This headphone comes in at just 336 grams of weight, though I think it feels like a fluffed pillow cuddling my ears and leaving me a fresh mint for the morning. You won't get any swivel out of this, but there is slight tilt. It's also angled inward, but doesn't apply pressure thanks to those soft and comfortable pads on the cups. The seal is tight, and I had no issues whatsoever getting a consistent sonic experience out of the 105. That sonic experience I spoke of is driven by a 50mm W-shaped dome driver. That dome is made up of carbon fiber reinforced cellulose composite, which is said to be more durable than other alternatives used in dynamic drivers. The torus, which is not the constellation Taurus, by the way, is the area surrounding the dome and is made up of PEEK, or PEEK, polyether ether ketone. Now, PEEK has a high strength and stiffness to ensure the dome maintains integrity during high stress. In other words, crank up that bass and let this driver take a beating. Within reason, of course, you crazy basshead bastards. Now for the technical number mumbo jumbo, this is 42 ohms of impedance and has a sensitivity of 112 decibels per 1 milliwatt. This simply means the 105 AER will be as easy to drive and breathe as a breath of fresh air. Hey guys, quick interruption here just to remind you that if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please do consider doing so, and please do like the videos like this if you do like them. Also, I do have a Patreon if you'd like to get in and support me further there. I also have a members only Patreon Telegram chat that you could get in on if you do decide to join that. Now with that guys, I will let you get back to the video. Since this is such an easy to drive headphone, I was able to get a very consistent experience with any amp that I paired this up with. The only caveat to that would be on the characteristics of the amp itself, which yes, that does exist, so says my own ears. For instance, using the Midgard or Gunnr from Schiit provided a bit more weight to the low end, where using my Cayin amps gave it a lush mid-range experience. So experiment away, but in the end, the experience will still be very similar. That is to say that the 105 is a headphone that provides a strong emphasis into the low end. It won't extend super deep, but it is very full and has weight to it as well. The mids are a touch forward at times and present themselves clearly thanks to a bit of elevation in the upper mid range. Then the treble soften things off at the top so you won't get a slap-happy stab of sizzle, but it does provide plenty of air, in case you didn't guess I was going to say that. Let's dive right into a track example to explain the bass response as I hear it or feel it, because there's a bit of both going on here. First up is Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish. I feel like the 105 was made for Billie, like I know her or something. But seriously, that thumpy beat is just that with the 105, showing me the low to mid bass is elevated enough to create some boom. Then her vocals are full and have excellent clarity to them throughout. Another track for full vocals would be Oh Death by Bobby Bass and Company. Now, for gaming fans, if this doesn't remind you of the Hunt Showdown theme song, I mean, am I right? Take a listen and you'll see. The start of this track has the deep bass-filled voice of, I'm assuming Bobby Bass. It's very full and just grabs you on a headphone that has fullness in that region. The rest of the vocalists that complement throughout then are also clearly heard, just like Billie's voice was on that thumpy bass line of Bury a Friend. Oh Death and Bury a Friend, listened on an all-black headphone, that's dark. But don't expect the fullness of the bass to extend too deep, however, because it will roll off into the lowest of lows. Mid-range will definitely be a hit or miss for some, I would think. It's fairly neutral till we hit the upper mids, and then you get some of that elevation and a good amount of presence. Sticking with my theme I have going on here, the track Haunted by Kane Brown and Jelly Roll samples this. Kane's voice is clearly present and again very full. Jelly Roll, being a bit higher in the registry of his voice, also maintains fullness and presence through the mix. Another track I'd like to cover is New Gold featuring various artists by Gorillaz. Now I bring this one up because this track could hit the ceiling for some tolerances of that upper mid-range I spoke about. I could see this even becoming a tad harsh for some, as this is a sensitive region of the mid-range. So some hard rock tracks and even electronic music could be a bit much at times, depending on person to person. Now to provide an example of instruments, the saxophone is one of the instruments that comes across very full sounding with this headphone's response, if that helps at all. And it seemed to be consistent with music featuring that instrument, such as jazz or even some blues. Treble overall I find to be very tamed. There's no sizzle that I've found, which has been nice, but I think also at times I find the resolution to be a bit veiled. I found a track called Dance for Me Wallace by Abel Krasniowski. Hopefully I said that right. This track was interesting because there are several instruments going on here along with the piano. I find arrangements like this to have a bit of blending going on with the 105. So this will show some of the limitations to the resolution and separation of instruments. I think it's pretty acceptable considering this price point, but it's still important enough to note that this is not a strong suit of the 105, where it could be on a planar magnetic type driver of this range. Now, one aspect that is very good would be the space provided. On the track The Untold, you will get this consistent build. Around halfway through, you will get an idea of how this headphone can open up the space around you. Again, it may not be the most separated, but it does have a big sound to it. It's not over-exaggerated by any means, but it does hold true to the naming of the 105 AER. Now, I didn't mention it yet, but I do believe imaging to be pretty spot on as well, with no issues found, especially during gaming. As you can imagine, this can be quite a bit of fun with gaming, all things considered. I have gamed with this headphone quite a bit, and it is a reason they bundle it with the boom mic. The staging and boominess of the low end can lead to some excitement and immerse you into your games. I would say especially single player experiences such as Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, and Cyberpunk are all excellent examples of games that I think mesh very well with the 105. Explosions, roars of dragons, and spoken dialogue all seem to excel here. It still didn't help me defeat a dragon, or dodge a grenade, or outwit a spineless twit, but hey, it's still a lot of fun to play with games. I have compared this headphone to the 99 Classics and the 109 Pro. It only seems natural to do so considering the naming alone. Now the 99 Classics is a pretty sharp contrast to this headphone. Even though there is good rumble in the bass of the 99, it's still very V-shaped and closed back as well, so don't expect the same kind of fullness to the mids. It's also smaller in the cups and warmer when you consider the leather-like ear pads. I think the 99 is just more fun, assuming you enjoy V-shaped tuning. Then the 109 should be the next step up when you compare the price point alone. I do think both headphones are similar, but the 105 actually does provide more meat in the bass response. It's even a bit more full in the mid-range to my ears. Now the big differences here comes down to the technical performance, and that is where the 109 pulls ahead and doesn't have that veiled top end I found on the 105. Still, this is an interesting comparison because if you wanted something a bit more colorful and musical, I could see anyone saving money and reaching for the 105 over the 109, and I wouldn't fault them a single bit for it. Oh, and another fun fact on the 105, they fixed the 3.5 inputs on this headphone, so it's on the outside of the cups. So that means universal cable carriers, such as myself, can rejoice for more adaptability thanks to the external connection. Now, one final comparison, just to throw in a curveball, would be the Harmonic Dyne and Z Review's Eris. If you wanted another fun sounding headphone and happen to be a bass head, you bastards, then the Eris is just the ticket. It still has some of the most addicting space I've ever heard on any headphone. You'll just have to know that you'll sacrifice a bit of the mids, but it's also a very big sounding headphone as well, which is why many gamers are preferring this headphone. All right, if I had to say kind of my own personal pros and cons list of this headphone, I'll start with the cons and just say there's really just a couple of them for me. One would be on that veiled sound of the top end. Now in this price point, I think it's acceptable, but when you compare it to something like maybe some of the Sennheiser dynamic driver headphones 600 series, yeah, there's gonna be a bit more definition, I think, out of that top end, and that's something you're gonna sacrifice for a more lively and energetic sound out of this headphone. Now this other one isn't a con for me, but I would say no cup swivel, that could be a game breaker for some, I don't know who, but it is what it is with Meze headphones, and 99 Classics is like that, and so is the 109 Pro, and it's really not a big deal for me, but still could be another con. Now the pros though, way outweigh the cons in my opinion. Pros being first, the price point. $399 may sound expensive to some, but when you consider the quality of not just the sound, but materials and everything used out of this headphone, it's incredible in my opinion for what you're getting out of this package. I dig the aesthetic of this headphone and everything else about it. And like I said, the sound, it is lively, it is dynamic, it's great for vocalists, but if you don't want that extra bit of presence in the mid-range that could bother you, but me personally, this one gravitates towards a signature that I enjoy, and it's got a nice low thumpy bass and it's punchy, again, just dynamic. So the sound, if I'm not making that clear. And then I would say also for gaming, I mean, it makes sense to pair the boom mic with this headphone because it is so much fun to game with and is gonna really be a contender in that price point for gaming as well. So there you go. Those are my pros and my cons. So let me know in the comments down below what other headphones you would consider in this price range. I didn't even mention some of the great planars that we also get here, such as the Ananda Nano and HiFi and Sundara or Edition XS. This has become a very competitive price point and a lot of fun for all of us, the consumer. All right, everyone. These are all of my thoughts on the Meze 105 Air. I've been enjoying this headphone quite a bit, and it's easily going to make my list of headphones I recommend under $500. It'll also be one I'll continue to use as a comparison to future headphones in that price category. At this time, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.